Honestly, I have nothing to complain about. Yeah, some of y'all continue to try my patience, but yin needs yang. A little bit of contrast adds depth and dimension. You dummies comparing Doku to Grealish when you're comparing apples to oranges? Chunk of you probably don't even know the phrase or eat apples or oranges because all you consume is shitty processed food and takeout dinners. Pep Guardiola is back at the helm, screaming at the players from the sideline during match days. I can tell everyone missed Pep because y'all got nothing from Wanma during his 2 weeks in charge. An unproblematic man who knows himself. I love it. He admitted to not even wanting Pep's seat. He was just like, no, thank you. I like where I am in the shadows. It's great. Uh, the moment Pep comes back, here comes the media taking one line out of context, captured and pumped out the quote to make it sound like he slighted Matthias Nunes.
I think have to improve in the first contact in the decisions of one touch.
That was everywhere. Pep tells you how he feels. He's too old and successful to be parsing words. The quote seemed scathing, the media reaching to put this on the same tier of calling Calvin Phillips big boned. Let me play the rest of the quote for you because I know a City fan or two felt apprehension towards Matthias because of that said captured quote.
I think it's not precise enough, but the other quality to keep the ball, to dribbles, especially to drive with the ball like Kevin is incomparable in many things, but his energy going backwards, he's backwards. And Wolves play in the last games as a winger, so can play in multiple positions alternative. Having a special quality is so difficult to find that is available to dribble the players and make 10, 50, 20 meters with the ball. And with the time, he will learn, to be more precise in the simple things, in the first touch, in the first pass. And with the way we're training and dynamic that we have, he will get it. He will get it. But I think he has the qualities. He has not the qualities that we can improve, but he has the qualities like a manager cannot improve. And this is so important for us.
I get it. You can't fit all that on a little post for social media. I understand. But still, it just annoys me. All he was doing was saying, hey, this is an opportunity gap for Nunes. Work on your first touch. Not a big problem. Follow that with bang, bang, bang. A whole 50 seconds of just positive words. Pep ended his statement saying he has all of the skills a coach can't teach. And that is a beautiful thing to see. And there's no need to stay on Nunes because Southgate came at Philip Walter Foden for not being able to play in the central position. What? Trying to bring Pep into the conversation to make his point at that? Nah! Say with your chest, my boy. Luckily, Foden is a star boy. And his response was simple. I'll prove everyone wrong. I want to be England's best player. Oh, you love to see barbs and bombs come at Manchester City Football Club from all directions, just nonstop. Key players injured. New players technically haven't even hit their stride. Manchester City are undefeated. Not unbeaten, undefeated. All yous out here hate watching City. You might as well break down and purchase you a sky blue kit because hate us, love us, either way, you're a fan.
I hate the most is when you don't want the ball. I hate it. You have permission to make a mistake. You have permission to lose. You have permission.
And that's when we get big.
Yeah, I'm a genius.
Attack everyone and send everyone.
I think we're forgetting the most important thing. We're forgetting about focusing just on ourselves.
But we can do better. We need to take the next step, and there's no better place than taking the next step here.
Show ourselves out there how much we want to win it again.
We win 4 of the last 5 Premier League, guys. 4 of the last 5 Premier League. Are we gonna do it again?
Don't ask me again about doubles, triples, quadruples, fiftuplles, sextuples, and seventuples. So
Let's go, baby. Undefeated, like I said. We are Shades of Blue. This is episode. I ain't even at my spot. Hey, and welcome to episode 68 of Shades of Blue. We are the most comprehensive Manchester City podcast covering both the men and women's game, spanning from the Atlantic Ocean to the Rocky Mountains. We making art over here, capitalize the A. My name is Crunk Chocolate, and I'm here with Sharpie Charlie and Tarek. How's it going, brothers?
What's up?
It's going good. Good to be back after, a week off. Nice to see Tarek again. Let's talk some city footy, baby.
All right, listeners, what I need from you right now, if you're watching on YouTube, okay, go ahead and thumbs up. Hit that thumbs up. Like this video for us. Show some love. Leave a comment on what you thought of the episode. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Good Pods, any of those that you can rate or review, please give us 5 stars or what's the point? And hit that review. I've been searching. I've been looking for these reviews. I'm seeing the ratings. The ratings are going up. We're getting more ratings. I appreciate that. I love the 5 stars. But we need some reviews, please. I need some things to read on this episode, because if you leave a delicious review, I mean, it could be just good show. I'm gonna read it. Just give me something to read, guys. Thank you. I appreciate you. In today's episode, we'll start off with City's match, our victory against West Ham. Shout out. I'll give you another shout out naturally, but shout out right now to West Ham Way USA. Brawley, Darwin, top guy, super cool guy. It was great to chat with him, have him on during the watch along with us.
Brawley got to the bag, man.
I'm
He
enjoying
made a nice
having.
little.
Yeah,
West Ham
yeah.
lost, but he did not.
Yes, right. And also shout out to Big Phil for chatting with me in our Patreon episode of Breaking Bread. So that was nice. Once we're done with that, we're gonna review the match. Sorry, I'm all topsy-turvy. I took terrible notes. Once we finish this, start all over again. We would review the West Ham versus City match, and then we'll follow that with shock, awe, and Premier League applause. And that's where we take a look at the Premier League as a whole, giving love or having a laugh at someone or some team. And we will end the episode previewing 2 games. Back at it, multiple games, 2 games in 7 days. I guess this is really like 3 games in 7 days at it, this pace. Red Star Belgrade on Wednesday, and then Nottingham Forest. No,
Saturday.
if that's Saturday or Sunday, but we'll get there. Saturday. All right. West Ham. Starting 11 was Ederson, Vardiol, Akanji, Diaz, Walker, Rodri, Bernardo, Doku, Foden, Alvarez, and Haaland was up top. I knew injuries made Pep making decisions for the starting 11 would be tough. Well, not tough, because it's an easy decision. You have who you have. But it still didn't stop me from being shocked. Tom and Sharpie, you guys saw how shocked I was during the watch along when I looked it up for the first time, because it really was the first time I saw it. Seeing Bernardo next to Rodri along with Doku, Foden, and Alvarez. Yes, Foden and Alvarez, they're fantastic pressers when City lose the ball. But when I normally look at lineups, the word possession is just like being played on repeat in my head. And that is not what that lineup said to me. I am very interested to see, Tarek, when you saw the lineup, what was your thoughts when you saw it?
I guess you kind of explained it there a little bit. I was just interested to see what you were expecting, because I think our options were relatively limited as far as who could come in. without, say, a John Stones or a KDB being healthy or being available. So I'm interested to see what you thought there. If maybe you were thinking that Nunez would play, Mateus Nunez was going to play. I didn't expect him to start. So I looked at this lineup and thought it was probably what I was going to expect. Whether it was a true 4-2-3-1 or just a 4-1-4-1 with, um, with Rodri holding in the middle, and then probably Bernardo and Alvarez kind of in those two middle spots with Foden and Doku out wide. So it's kind of what I was expecting, just because there wasn't a ton of options. The only thing that, if you want to say surprising per se, was whether we were going to see Ake get the start. So that was the only thing that could, in my mind, could have gone one way or the other. What about you, Sharpie?
I mean, the first thing I noticed was that, we have 5 players under the age of 23 starting. And I think that's so dope, right? Like when you think about the. Can y'all hear me okay? Oh, okay, because it's not showing up on my
Yeah,
computer. Just
yeah,
making
yeah.
sure.
You're good.
Yeah, when you like think about how you want to keep something going, the way you keep a dynasty going is you have to keep reinventing yourself, and you have to keep new talent coming in to mesh with the old talent. And so I think we found that perfect balance of, the stalwarts, the undroppables, as they say in England, the unplayables, which is still weird to me. But you now have this youth. You bring in a Rolls Royce and Vardiol. You have obviously Holland. You have
Man,
Doku, who knows what he does, and that's Pep. Like having a week with Pep changes everybody, right? Like you just get better when you work with the manager. He didn't have that before, and so like I was just excited. It sucked to have the injuries, right? Like I literally forgot even on the live stream that Kovacic was injured because I was like, oh, Grealish, Stone, like, and I was like, oh yeah, we're missing
same.
Kovacic. Like, okay, we'll figure it out because look at our bench. I'm still okay with it. Um, but I think overall, like when I see a City lineup, I expect us to win, unless he was to start like an EDS side against the Premier League side. Like whoever we put out there, I'm expecting at 3 points. So
Yeah. Mm. Kickoff begins. Foden and Alvarez almost connect immediately. Then there's Kyle Walker trying to find Halan, who had a streaking Alvarez on his right. There was a corner where City had 5 shot attempts at goal blocked. That was in the first 7 minutes of the match. Doku's cooking immediately. Yes, his movements came to nothing early, but you could see the fear in Kufal's eyes every single time the ball was fed to Doku. Halan, Mans missed a sitter. What I will say is Vardiol whipped the ball in something vicious. Looks like Halan attempted the power of Vardiol with power, and it kind of just like cancels each other out, and that's what we got in the shot. West Ham responded back with their own close chance of their own. Ward Prowse got into it with a sideline official before the corner was taken. I do think that quarrel did kind of make the players think that he was going to take the kick. So when it came from a whole different angle, it just broke the players' brains, and West Ham almost got a flick on and scored 30 minutes into the match. It's been a hard fought match. West Ham scored. There's no real easy way to transition into it. It was the 36th minute, Sufal to Bowen, back to Sufal, streaking up the pitch. Diving header from James Ward-Prowse. What? I didn't notice in the watch along, but when I rewatched the match, that West Ham goal, I hate to say it, it was deserved. It was about the 30th minute. It, they started taking over the possession. They had little like strings of it leading to a bunch of chances. I saw it coming. And it's funny because I don't really take too many notes in the first time I watch. So I knew the first goal was coming. I knew it was around the 35th to 39th minute. But it was in the rewatch from the 30th minute on. I got nervous again just to see the goal again. It was weird. It was I didn't appreciate my body kind of like turning on me like that. It's like it's coming. Why is my armpit sweating right now? Shout out to Brawley again. He was great. He wasn't thrilled about West Ham scoring first and so early in the match. That was like the first thing he said. He's just like, I hate how early we scored. And, and that's also how he ended up making a few $100s on the match. But he saw it coming. It was just terrifying. It was frustrating because West Ham were bending, but they weren't breaking. Pep's first match, it really couldn't have ended like that, right? 1-0 loss. Sharpie, how are you feeling?
I think we got to like call out, the truth as he called himself out. That was on Daku because he got caught out and the ball was so far up that Walker had been pushed up. Like we were in a kind of possession mode, and so that's why James Ward-Prowse was able to get free on the counter because Walker had already been pushed high and wide, and so even with his pace, he was too far to catch. And so Daku tried to sprint back, but once that Sufal got going, like, he was moving. Um, and it's credit to him. Like it's a perfect ball. Like so many players mishit that pass. They hit it too hard. It goes way too long. Like and even James Ward-Prowse, like the technique on the diving header, like it looked like something out of FIFA.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, again, they scored, but it's only the 35th, 36th minute. Like we have plenty of time. We've missed some chances, as you said. I kind of want to go back to that point because it's not frustrating in the same way of like the way we would watch Raheem Sterling and Gabby Jesus, because I think Haaland obviously scores more than them, but it's definitely the same type of misses, right? Like we've seen these misses before. It's just from the guy who has scored over 36 goals in a Premier League season. So you kind of like give him a benefit of the doubt, but also as a fan, you're just like, bro, you could have a hat trick literally in every match if you just score the easy ones. So that part of it's frustrating. Tarek, how did you feel, man?
When I saw their keeper and their defense conspired to keep out like 5 straight shots, all from like point blank range, I was like, this just isn't going to be a good day if we can't put those away, because I don't understand how we don't. It's almost harder not to score in that situation because all of these shots are effectively inside in the box, in the little the goalkeeper's 6 yard box. So it's like almost harder not to score there. But at that point, if you're getting that many shots and you give them to the players that we have on our team, it's just a matter. It's the old the old, I don't know if you know what call it, a nursery rhyme or whatever, but the big bad wolf says, I'm a huff and I'm a puff and I'm gonna blow your house down. If you keep letting us huff and puff, it's just a matter of time before we're blowing the whole house down, especially with Big Holland up there. So disappointing not to get the goal, of course, but also know that it foreshadows a lot of good things for us if we keep doing like this. Obviously, seeing them score first is a bit of a gut punch because you feel like we're doing really good stuff up to that point. Didn't expect them to get the first goal. Actually, I didn't expect them to score at all, to be honest with you, especially the way we started. So that was disappointing. You talked about Doku, I don't know, effectively a poor touch or whatever, loses the ball. I don't think he immediately jumped on defense and getting back. There was a little bit of hesitation. So then when he tries to, okay, let me get back. It's just that step or two late. Um, and one thing we know about Pep, if you don't get back, he will drill into you that need to work on both sides of the ball. So, and I don't think that was the issue there. I just think he just that momentary, whether it's disappointment because lost the ball or whatever. You just got to be, you know, get get rid of that thought and let's just go win it back. So yeah, it was disappointing to see them score, but it was early. We had been showing very well. I still felt confident that we would score. Um, yeah, it was. So I had seen the Liverpool match, right, and I think they were down early and then they came back and blew them away. So it's kind of how I felt about this one. It's like, it sucks to be down early, but I still think we will win. Um, Last thing I'll say is, to their credit, West Ham last year showed the ability to pull out wins when they got in front on occasions, which is why they won Conference League. But again, it's a different caliber of opponent that you're playing, and keeping us off the board for an entire 90 minutes. There's going to be very few teams that can do that.
Facts. And Daku's learning the importance of tracking back immediately and getting it. There's no, oh yeah, I need to defend. It's you need to defend immediately. That is a lesson he learned harshly and immediately. He did great the rest of the match, honestly, and really that was just the one moment because he was tracking back fantastically. Like I loved seeing what he was
And
doing.
let me just say one more thing too, because when we knew that we were buying Doku at the end of the window, um, I said I haven't seen enough of the kid, so I really don't know what to expect. I asked you all what you thought, and you all gave me your sentiments there. And again, we all know I was disappointed to lose Cole, and question, hey, could we have kept Cole? Could he have provided some of the same things or whatever? So there's from a basketball perspective, when I was, there's some things you can't teach. Size is one of them, right? You can't teach a guy to be 7 foot tall or 6'10" or whatever it is. They just either they have it or they don't. There's only so much you can teach pure, just unadulterated speed too, and Doku has that in spades. I think I would I might say he might be fast. I think he's faster than Kyle, but I think that when we have both of them on the pitch, we probably have the two fastest players on the pitch at any given time. If we have Doku and Kyle on the pitch at the same time, and possibly on opposite sides of the ball. So, it was good to see him going at players because I don't want to get into the Grealish versus Doku stuff. They're different players. They do different things.
Yeah,
But what I
yeah.
do appreciate for Doku is, at least at this point in his City career, he's very willing to go at players. Whereas in some cases, Grealish will hold that ball up or cut inside looking for someone to give the ball to. Doku is willing to pass it, but he knows you cannot stay in front of me. I don't care who you are. And so he's willing to exploit that strength in his game and go at players. And we saw it get him a goal. We saw it get him into good spaces where he could create chances for other players. So we definitely have an exciting player in Doku. I imagine that his game will change slightly as he matures and as his time at City continues to go. So we'll see a maturing of his game. But I pray to God he never loses uh, that willingness to just go at you, because no one can stay in front of him.
And to that, adding on to that point, Eric, about Doku, a part of Pep's comments post match, he mentioned the word shy when he observed how Doku played in the first match against Fulham. Right? He was like, yeah, he was a little shy, but this match, he was himself, a proper winger, right? Like, he knows how to play football. He's only 21. It's his second start with Man City. And if you notice, at one point in the match, everything was just flowing to the left. Like, he was the one running the show. Like, they wanted the ball. They knew that Kufal, whatever his name is, couldn't stop him. And so either A, he was going to take him one-on-one, or B, Bowen had to make it a 2v1. So now once he made the right pass, boom, everything else opened up for everyone else all over the pitch. I think he had like over 86% pass accuracy. So he was making right decisions to pass from the dribble, those crosses that got in. He should have had an assist. Like it's I don't we can't overstate how amazing that performance is and it's on the road, right? Like you're at a hostile environment. Like London Stadium was full; they were rocking. You know, they are champions of Europe in their own right. Like they were up for it. You know, you're down a goal, you make the mistake, and now you're like, what am I going to do the rest of the match? And I think Kyle Walker, right, going to Captain Kyle, he showed what you do last time. You make a mistake, you go back and you fix it. And so now the whole team knows, especially the 21-year-old who's new to the club, is like, okay, we just got to keep playing. Like we don't stop, we don't mope, we don't pout, we don't get down on ourselves. And I'm almost certain that like once they got into halftime, nobody was even talking about the mistake. It's just like, okay, let's go get some goals, because that's the mindset of a champion. Like we are the mentality monsters, and we're not gonna lose. And I think he's bought into that. And yeah, I'm so happy he's our number 11. Like I never buy shirts of a first year player, but I'm thinking for Christmas I need a Doku shirt. Like it's so dope to see him out there.
That's what's up.
Another missed chance by Halan in the 42nd minute. Daku had Sufal on skates and finds Halan, who gets a shot off, except honestly, I have no idea what happens. He kind of like fell backwards and it just like putted off his heel of his boot. It was real sad, actually.
Is that the one that the defender basically blocks, clears, whatever?
Yeah, it was like it just was just playing on the goal line. Yeah,
It's just not
very
enough
frustrating.
power behind it to get it over quick.
Yeah, it just truly he fell and it hit the back of his heel. It didn't even hit the side of his boot. It just bounced off of his foot. It looked like he planned to fall back, but maybe got his foot got caught or something. It just looked really clumsy. I tried to watch it a couple times. And I was like, I don't really see what happened, and his face looked like he didn't know what happened either. Uh, Vardiol earns a yellow for a clumsy tackle on Bowen. First half ends with the home club, the Hammers, up by one, with City owning, I think it was like 63, 65% of the possession. I ran home during the watch along. I didn't get to hear Sharpie, yours or Tom Bomb's thoughts. Uh, Sharpie, how was your mentals? How were your nerves holding up with
I
City down at
mean, anybody
halftime?
who knows me knows I don't get nervous about City because we're City. Like we win all the time. We win over 80%
Let's
of our matches.
go.
So
Mm-hmm.
I think Tom's first question to me was, if you had to make a sub, who would it be? And I said, well, if I have to, I might swap Nunez for Bernardo just to add some more attacking verve at some point. Like if we haven't been able to get the goal, I might swap it. But aside from that question, I was so pleased with the shots we were creating. Like you mentioned how, in the recap, like the first 10 minutes, we were all over the goal. We were in their final third. We had like 19 shots at halftime or something crazy, 7 on target or whatever. Like it was just a matter of time for me till we scored. So I was like, okay, either we're gonna win 2-1 or 3-1, but we're definitely winning. Tarek, how'd you feel?
Yeah, pretty much same. I mean, it's never great to go into half losing. And again, you think we've had enough chances that we should be up, but I'm confident we'll get more chances in the second half. And you just gotta. I think that I think I said earlier it's going to be very difficult for any team to keep us off the board. I think it'll be hard for most teams to get more than one goal against us too, because I just think defensively we're too good. So unless we give up another, counter-attacking goal, just or we're pressing really hard to get a goal for some reason, then you can catch us on the counter. But other than that, you know, I I find it hard to think teams are just going to go out and run up the score against us. So they got one, and it was, I'm not going to say it was fluky, but again, it's kind of, we got caught in a counter. I don't think you do that to us multiple times in the game. So I feel like we're going to get chances. They're probably not going to get very many chances. They're going to just try to hold on to what they have. And you can't play us like that, because if you just give us shots, give us takes, give us opportunities, you can't keep us out. We're just too good. So you either have to be willing and bold enough to come at us and try to take the game to us, or, and even if that means you're playing on a counter a little bit, but if all you're going to do is sit back, there's no hope for you. So for me, at this point, I'm like, okay, it sucks to be down, but we will get chances. Now the question is, can we convert? We'll convert at least one. Can we convert that second one to actually win the game, or do we just end up getting a draw? But I don't think there was ever a thought that, not at halftime, it was too early to think, oh, we're not going to get something out of this game.
And I just want to build on your point, Eric, about our defense. Like, at this point, I'm trying to make sure I stay in the moment we're recapping. At halftime, it had been 4.5 Premier League matches. We had only conceded 3 goals. Like, that's incredible. Like, coming into the match, 2-4, okay, throw in a half, whatever. But when you have the best defensive record in the league and you have the scariest attack, like the most consistent scary attack, right? Because technically Brighton has one more goal, but like they also have some fluky games. But yeah, like I don't know how you beat us unless we beat ourselves, to Tarek's point. Like, unless we continue to make the same mistakes to help you out, i.e., Cancelo fucking up against Salah last year, like, it's really hard to beat us. So I was excited for the second half, and I'll let Kronk take it away from there.
Yeah, even the goals that we gave up. James Ward-Prowse has to do a diving header. These are the things that teams have to do to score on our defense, is catch us slipping, make the right passes, and hope for the best. I'm okay with that. I'm always okay with that. Especially knowing the players that we have on the pitch. It's just like, it's okay. We're good. Second half starts. West Ham beginning with possession, giving it away cheaply. So I timed it actually. So 45 minutes, 12 seconds is when Akanji received the ball from Ederson. It then took them 22 seconds to get the ball past the halfway line. They kind of just, Akanji and Diaz just passed it back and forth for basically 22 seconds, and then Diaz makes a pass to Haaland. Once he makes that pass to Haaland, it takes 8 seconds for the goal to happen. It's just a simple lullaby. That's all that was. Thanks to a pass to Diaz, up to Haaland, who tapped it over to Rodri, who swung it over left to Alvarez. La Arana took 2 touches to launch the ball to Doku, who was in full stride, being able to gather the ball. All you can see is West Ham defenders just backing up. And Sufal pivots his hips, and that's when Doku takes the shot. You catch your defender. That's what they always say, especially in football. That's when you're supposed to make your break if you're a wide receiver, is when you see the defender switch their hips, because you catch the ball balance. Beautiful move by him. I loved truly just how terrified everybody was. Nobody wanted to take a step forward, to put a foot out. They were just hoping, praying that he was going to cross it or mess up or bounce off of them. Doku's divine dribbling left defenders delirious, allowing him to use that right foot to sneak a shot past everyone, including the keeper.
Whoa. Kronk, you got to stop talking.
I was going to say, you just running with that alliteration right there.
Hey, run that back for the people, because I think they're going to miss it. Can you just read that? I know you got to read it now. Read that line again, please.
Rewind. Doku's divine dribbling left defenders delirious, allowing him to use that right foot to sneak a shot past everyone, including the keeper.
I swear, that's a statement that's on a test in your class, Sharpie.
Bro, like, that's insane. Like, it's one thing to write it, but the delivery was perfect. Like, I would have messed up. I would have tripped all over my words. But man, that's why Crump is who he is. So go ahead, Terry.
So I'm old, right? I'm old, and in this new school that maybe you guys are a little older too, but like my kids are in now. My wife teaches in, Sharpie, you teach in. They don't really tell you to memorize a lot of stuff. They really want you to understand and know. When I was a kid, we just memorized a lot of stuff and we just knew it, right? And so when we started talking about, oh, what are the planets, right? Or no, not the planet, excuse me, but order of operations in math. It was PEMDAS. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Or if we're talking about the planets, Mary's velvety eyes made John stay up nights proposing, or something like that, right? So you knew that's what it sounds. That's what I heard. Doku's. And it was just like this dude, this alliteration, all this. I was like, oh my goodness, Lord have mercy. And we're sitting there listening while he's going, and I'm like, I want to just stop and be like, I don't want to interrupt because, if this was the live stream, I would just interrupt. Whatever, it's so crazy. On here, I try to be more polite, but I'm glad you stopped it, man, because we were both sitting there like, ooh.
All I'm gonna say is I was
Okay, new
yeah.
rule for season 3. Let's interrupt from now on. If we're ever feeling it, just hop in.
The
Let's
vibes are
let's throw
here
some chaos in here. If Pep's doing it on the pitch, let
because
us
I'm
do it.
more
Let's do
excited
it.
after hearing that than I was after Daku's goal. No, literally, because I do want to say this about Daku, right? If you remember early in the match, he had that shot. It was a weak shot, right? Well, he took it, and he did basically the same move, except he got a little bit closer. He took one more dribble or two more dribbles and was able to get a better angle on the keeper. But like that early shot meant so much, and it was in that early ambush, right? Of just like, let's just have a flurry, let's pepper the net, let's keep going, and not for the sake of comparison, but they're playing in the same position, left mid, left wing. That's what all we want from Jack is to take shots. And when he has those matches, we love it. Is when he doesn't, when he gets there and it's like, oh, let me square the ball. Like, no, bro, take the shot. You miss, but you don't take it. You're hurting the team. It's like not taking a wide open three when you're playing basketball. It hurts everybody because we literally work for that shot. So for Doku, and this is 40 seconds into the half, he's like, fuck it, I'm going. If I miss, I miss. Who cares? It's 40 seconds in and, we got people in the box, whatever. The attitude, man, that mentality, to get that in less than a month at City, to have the confidence to say, I'm going to do this with all these trouble winners on the pitch. I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm him right now. And you can't buy that. Like, you can't teach that. As Pep said about Nunez, right? Like, some things you just can't put into a footballer. And that mentality, that part of it, that's innate at 21. Just a miraculous performance.
Let's go. That got me up pumped. What you talking about? Oh, I tweeted everybody needed to be patient. Obviously, it just took one match. People were all on him. I did see a few people who were just like, his first half wasn't great. I have no idea what they saw. He was a star immediately. It was from the first touch that you could see every. Again, it's just vibe. Those are the things that I feel, that I see, and it was just the second he touched it, you could just sense things were up, and they had. You could tell West Ham probably tried a game plan, and like you said, they were just kept funneling the ball to him. The ball was going on the left, and you could even see the players when we would recycle the ball back right. Even when they would get the ball center to like Rodri or somebody in the center, you would see the West Ham players starting to lean towards Daku, anticipating the ball going to him. It was really cool to see. It just, I love it. Honestly, what else do we want to just talk about? The goals? Was there anything specific in other than the goals that one of you guys wanted to mention?
So real quick, and then feel free to go on with the goals. Pep's early sub was crazy. Like, we hadn't seen an early sub in so long. Like, Crump, this is the one day we didn't play the game of like, will he sub before the 70th? But he did it. And it was right at the time where Brawley he pointed this out. He's like, wait, Moyes is going for it. Like, he brought in offensive subs. He didn't bring in Ogbonna to make a back five. He brought in Benrahma for Alvarez, who had a little knock. And then he brought in Kudus for Antonio. And so you're bringing in two attacking players. So it was crazy to see David Moyes saying, let's go for the win at that point of the match. It was so early. But on the other end, it was crazy to see Nunez get his debut, not in like mop-up duty, but in like, oh, it's a 1-1 match. We need you on this pitch. We need you to do a job. And Phil, you're not off it today, but, you might be a little tired from international duty, whatever. Let's bring on some fresh legs, a different profile. And honestly, like, that changed the match both ways. Like, they got more open, and however it worked for us, it just clicked. And and we continue to dominate. I mean, we had been dominating the first 20 minutes of the half, but I think it just took it to another level after that.
Yeah, and I don't want to say it was as simple as you just took. Actually, it was as simple. You took Antonio, who was an offload guy, and not even that. He's that player that if he's your teammate, all right, all I got to do is make this one play and I can get it out to him. You don't have him anymore. So in your brain, mentally, you believe you have to do more, and there's just more pressure. You taking off a defender for the most part, also, and with Edison coming off and being replaced with not such a defending player, it just fit perfectly. It was beautiful. Let's see, the Alvarez, he hit a goalpost from a free kick. He almost had one. That was gorgeous. That was oof. That was very upsetting. Uh, the Rodri, he dinked to a ball to Halan where he got basically vertical doing his now patented flying drop kick volley. Dude truly doesn't know how to score a normal goal. It's insane. Uh, Daku, people, I know we've talked about him so much already, and you can say that I personally might be starting an agenda or something with him, and you motherfuckers will be correct. Oh my goodness. There was a moment in the match where he hit Sufal with this like hezzy spin move, and he offloaded the ball and burned up the pitch. Uh, the ball went out for a corner, but seeing that, you're just like, oh. And he did the same move in international play. He like shared it on his social media. It was what led to one of their goals. It was this like spin move off of the guy, and again, that felt like a basketball move. The defender when you back him up and you just spin off of him, and the dude is just saucy, is beautiful. I say when I watch him dribble, it really does feel like jazz because he knows what he's doing, but it feels like he doesn't, and you don't like. And just wherever it goes, it's beautiful. It sounds great. I loved it. And the fact that he's on his left because he started on the right in the first game and then moved over to the left, and it's night and day. Him being able to be dribble with his left and his right, obviously, not obviously, his right is his preferred foot. That gives him the ability to dribble and or shoot. He can cross. We saw it, and maybe he won't. I feel like maybe he won't start next on Wednesday because I don't know. You just don't want it to all go to his head. Give him a little off day, like Grealish if he's healthy or whatever. Foden, something like that. Get their time in.
Yeah, to me, it's going
I
to
guess I'll
depend
hop
on
off
if
my
anybody's
Doku.
healthy. Otherwise, you got to keep playing the
Yeah.
right, and that's the concern. You're going to keep running the same players out week after week. But if we're playing Red Star Belgrade, oh yeah, I think you gotta give the
Oscar
Oscar
Bob.
Bobs of the world a chance, and you
Bro.
expect them to be good enough to contribute in that moment. Um, but going back to the match, I don't
Yeah.
know if you ever got to the. Did you get to the goal, the Bernardo goal?
We can go anywhere. We
Okay, go
no,
ahead.
but we can get there.
Well,
We
no,
can
no, I
go
was gonna say
wherever.
because
No,
on
you
that
got
on
you
that
got it.
Bernardo Silva goal, when he scores it, he kind of hits it relatively soft from not that far
Mm-hmm.
out, but far enough. But you have Erling Haaland crashing at the kind of the back post, and he would have been forgiven being the big number 9 up front, having the frustration that he had by not getting the goals early. If he would have taken that opportunity, jumped on it immediately, and put it in the back of the net. Now we could debate whether he would have been offside and all this other stuff, but as a striker who has been frustrated all day, I would have understood and almost expected him to go put that ball in the back of the to make sure it gets in the back of the net. But once he realizes that it's gonna go in, he pulls his foot back and lets Bernardo have his goal. And
Good
it's a
teammate.
good teammate. It's very unselfish. And so when he scored 1.5 million goals last year, but when he said things about, just being a good teammate, or, it's more about the wins than it is about the goals, these are the moments you look at and say, this dude is not just saying what we want to hear because that's the right, quote unquote, right thing to say, but he really genuinely believes that, because no one would have begrudged him putting that ball in the back of the net. And there was no guarantee at that point that he's going to go get another one. Right. So there's an opportunity. The ball is there for the taking, but he pulls his foot back. And that's not the first time. And so I just want to, continue to call that out, because that's, like you said, it's the mark of a really good teammate, and just that mentality that it's not about me. It's not about me getting my goal. It's about us winning. And if you've already got the goal, great. I'm gonna celebrate you. It doesn't have to be about me week after week. So I appreciated that.
And then playing on the goal, right? Like
Hell yeah.
this is the point in time where subs have been made. It's about 10 minutes after the subs, and we really get to see another example of Alvarez's wide array of talent, because he can do it all. And I know we've talked before. I think, Terry, when we had the duo show, we were talking about, okay, is his best position, behind Holland
In that number
in
10.
that 10 role, and you see him growing into it, right? If we understand, like, hey, it is September, he's doing this for the first time, and he's doing it every week. You don't do things for City and get worse at them. You get better. And you see him seeing that pass. It was a perfect pass, and it was really bad defense. Both things can be true at the same time. Great ball, poorly timed
Right.
clearance, because you're tall as hell. You shouldn't miss that. Like and that's the guy that we got linked with. And I was like, oh, I don't want that. For what? For why? Do you see our defenders? You're not them. You're off the list. We could also get on to Paquetá saying, come get me. That's exactly what he told Pep. But that's another story. But yeah, and then with the pass, the
Thirsty
classy
ass.
finish by Bernardo, who just does one of these every season, at least one or two of them, where he has a little dink, or he's back post, far post, whatever. Like, he just finds a way to score a goal that wins the game. And yeah, I was just really happy at that point. Like, when that goal went in, I lost it on the stream because I was ahead of everybody, Tarek. So like, I was watching on cable, everybody else was streaming, so I'm literally like 15 seconds ahead of everybody. So I'm eating wings. I like to mute the thing, and I start losing my mind. Nobody can see me in camera, and then I hear them go off. But that was a fun moment. That's the best part of a watch along. Like, truly.
It's so Moyes, after the match, complained and said that goal, that I think his phrase was, the second goal was bad from my team. And City had landed that dink at least 4 other times before that in the match. And Akanji and Alvarez almost scored from the same type of dink themselves. Maybe he'll see it on the tape that was just a thing that City were doing, and they looked great. Ederson's save, oh my god, how did I forget about that in the 60th minute from Zuma header? Because he launched that, and Ederson a couple of years ago, he might not have got to that, and it was a solid stop. And
Do we just
me,
give credit?
I said it. He's gonna.
Sorry. Do we just give credit to true competition for your space in your spot? Having Ortega on the team makes Ederson be better. You have to come up, because there isn't hey, I respect him, U.S. international, or at least he was at one, former international, however we want to say it. But, Zach Steffen, right? He was decent with his feet, supposedly, but he wasn't ever able to truly push Ederson like Ortega is, to the point where none of us are concerned if Ortega has to start. And I think he knows that Pep and everybody else is perfectly fine playing Ortega. So if I'm not on my game, I can be benched. And we have always had competition for spaces everywhere except for that number one keeper spot. And we have that now. And it's made him, in my opinion, it's made him up his game from a shot stopping perspective. He's always been great. He will probably always be great with his feet, but he's had to just come up a little bit higher on the shot stopping, and we're seeing it. We've been seeing it for the last, however many months. So yeah.
So to that point about Ederson is raising his level, right? Like we don't win the Champions League final if he doesn't make the saves he does, right? Like
Absolutely.
He's an immense keeper. He's a top 5 keeper in the world. You can put him in any order. The fact that Brazil has him and Allison is kind of unfair. Like
it is absolutely an abundance of riches.
It's insane. Like how do you have one and that's your 2? And I respect Allison a lot. Great, right? But I just want to say, like, looking at our lineup, man, like we do not have a weakness on the pitch. There's nobody you can attack defensively. There's nobody you're like, oh, funnel the ball to him. He's going to mess up. He doesn't have the touch. He doesn't have the quality. Especially now that Kyle Walker and even Pep said it, he's upped his quality on the ball. Like the pass that he did where I think we skipped over it, but when he chased down the ball from the defender, he outran Zuma and then whipped in a perfect cross to Haaland. It just happened that the keeper was right there for the deflection. But like everybody's up their game now. And so we may not, like, if this was Gundo in the same role or this is Fernandinho, I think the title of like captain would be seen as more, but I'm going to keep calling out Captain Kyle because his words of like, hey, I told the lads, we need to start fast. Like, let's go get the wins. And you can see it in the performances. There's no waiting around. There's no like, okay, we'll just control the ball side to side. And of course, Pep's tactics go with that. But the mentality of like, no, we're going after it and we're getting better. Like, we're better at this point. This is the best start we've ever had in the Cup. But we're tied for it, right, from the first season.
I got all my guns, yeah.
I'm always here for a Wayne break is
so
beautiful.
Pumped.
But yeah, so like just knowing that we have the best players at every position we play against, I love it, man. Like it's so fun to watch City, especially when compared with NFL fandom. It brings me so much joy. So I will always appreciate these men for what they do.
Yeah. My take in April that Ederson could take over Allison. I don't know. I think he'd do it by the Olympics. It wouldn't surprise me if it happens. Liverpool, they're doing great. I'm just saying, City, they're on another level, and it is due to him. He's not even giving us that occasional like, oh no moment anymore. He's taken that out of his system. And that's beautiful to see, even though I did kind of love those airy moments. Last goal, Haaland's. It was just nice to see. He obviously needed it. The stress, he just became a blob. His celly, if you want to call it that. I just love that you know how he feels. I'm sure he is a very complex and deep person. He obviously is with his regimen and things like that. But at least when it comes to the person on the pitch and scoring the goals, he wants to do that. It does come team first. But that killer in him, he wants to score those goals. He has that weight that he puts on himself.
Yeah, I think that's the key. I mean, he definitely is putting that pressure on himself, but I like the fact that he doesn't take himself too seriously. He's not trying to make himself out to be something that he's not. Other players, normally I probably wouldn't call him. I'm gonna call him out because I don't care. But like Ronaldo, Cristiano Ronaldo, right? In that moment, he would have ran over to the flag. He would have done his little X, WWE, whatever. He would have done his celebration as if he's been that dude all game, right? Haaland, on the other hand, was like more of a, oh my God, I can finally breathe. I can exhale because I finally got that goal. He let it be known, like, you're not the only, all y'all in these stands, like, oh my God, he needs to score. You're not the only ones that he's thinking about himself as well. So when he finally does, we're all like, okay, he finally got his goal. He's thinking the exact same thing. He's just so real, so relatable, and not trying to make himself out to be anything else than that. And I again, he's a superstar, no doubt. And again, I don't. That's not my preference as far as the type of personality like the Cristiano Ronaldo. So for me, for him to just kind of be real with it and be like, like you said, almost kind of playful and like, whew, I'm glad I got a goal just like y'all are. That's what's up to me. I appreciate that.
Give him the Ballon d'Or, you cowards.
Oh my God, if they steal that from that man, I'm gonna be so upset. And again, I respect Messi, but I
One
mean,
tournament
can't
versus 50
just
games.
yeah, man.
And I will say this, couple things about Holland, right? Some fun stats. He's leading the Premier League, right? 7 goals in 5 matches. I tweeted out afterwards because I retweeted Fab Fabrizio Romano, and it was like he's also missed at least 5 big chances. Not like half chances, not like kind of like he could literally have 10 plus goals right now in 5 games, which is scary. And he's still getting into form. And then I was looking at the top scores in Premier League. There's a gap between him at 7, 3 players at 4. I don't need to say their names. Who cares? But then, like, the gap for Man City, the next highest player only has 2. So, like, Holland has 7 of our 15 Premier League goals. And then you have people that sprinkled in the other 8. But it's just like, even when he's off, he's still by far the best striker in the world. Like, playing with the best creators in the world. So those chances keep coming. And you only miss the most chances if you get the chances and you're in the positions. So it's like this beautiful cycle of like work ethic and not and like what they call it with quarterbacks, right? Having that amnesia, that selective amnesia, right? To just forget the bad plays. You just keep going. Because if you stay on it, you're gonna mess up again because you're worried about making a mistake. You can't worry. You gotta keep playing. And he's 23. Like, I don't know what we're gonna do when these guys hit their real peak. They're so far away from peak football, which is like 26, 27. What do you do with them? I don't even know. It's baffling.
You call out how great his scoring record has been, and you put that in the context that he's doing this without a KDB, one of the world's greatest playmakers and assists men in the world. And you took that away from him, and he's still scoring more than a goal a game. And the people who are stepping into that role, the Alvarez's, the Fodens, they're all still going to still be figuring out how to play together and how they're going to do that. I'm telling you, when we come into, because I don't think we're at our peak yet. We're just better than everybody else. When we hit our peak, oh my God, we are going to be. It's beautiful to watch as a City fan, because as good as we have been, we can be better. And I don't know that there's too many other teams that can say the same thing. I mean, you can say that maybe about you know, the Uniteds and the Chelseas, who are so bad. It's almost, of course they can be better because they're just so bad. But, I think Arsenal, they hit their peak last year, and we're kind of seeing them not necessarily come back to earth, but yeah, I guess come back to earth, being a little bit more. They're still getting wins and whatever, but they're not the same, in my opinion, at least not yet, the same Arsenal as before. So, it's great to see.
Yeah, and I was gonna add one more thing, Crump, that when you look at City's talent, performance, this is why like I called out after 3 matches. I was like, we're gonna win the first 7. Like Arsenal we're going in there with 21 out of 21 points, which is ridiculous because it's not like the other way around where when teams get a lead, it's like, oh, City's gonna walk them down. Nobody's walking us down if we get out to this. Like if we win the first 8, like we beat Arsenal and win 24 out of 24 points, you can shut up the lead because we're not going to get worse. like he said, like we're only going to get healthier. We're only going to have basically a mid-season transfer of throwing in Kevin De Bruyne in January for the second half of the season. What? Like it's going to get scary out there, guys. It's going to get really, really scary. I'm so excited.
You talked about, our win the next 2 gets us to 7 within the league, let's say, gets us to 7, and then we have the Arsenal match. When you look at who Arsenal have, they have a match against Tottenham, who are doing really well right now, and I actually think Tottenham might beat them in that match. So if we come in on 21 points, they come in probably on 16. Let's assuming that Tottenham beat them. and then we beat them, would give us 24, keep them at 16. That gives us an 8-point lead after like 8 matches. There's no see, and the difference is we are not them. We don't fold. We don't what was the word that they were using? We don't bottle it, whatever that
We don't
means, right? That's
capitulate.
like some
We
English
don't
saying.
flounder.
Yeah, we don't capitulate. Yeah. So if we get up on them by 8, at that point for them, just play for second because you're not getting first.
Yeah, top 4 is the goal. Like top 4 would be the goal for Liverpool, for Tottenham, for Arsenal, which is great, right? Because you have a big 6 plus Newcastle now, 2 clubs are always going to miss. And even with the new coefficients we'll get into that in the spring when we start to figure out the places. But like you might get top 5 in, but even still, like you're not going to win. Like we all called the 4 peak before the season. We knew it, and now we're seeing why. Like we had faith, and it wasn't blind faith because we just wanted trouble. But now you're seeing with all these additions, and I hate to say this to my guy because he's my guy. There's no Calvin Phillipses this year. There's nobody that's having to like work their way into the side and like figure it out. And I'm great. He's a role player. You're gonna need his body. You're gonna need some minutes, his legs at some points. But like every other transfer has already played at least 25 minutes in a match. Like Nunez got inserted. We were tied. It was 67th minute. And no, you play. Go. Please go out there. Do what you do. Right. And so it's just like, I'm sorry, guys. We're even better than last year. That's the truth. We're better.
Let's go. Well, we have talked enough about us. Let's span out and talk about the whole Premier League. Wow. Shocks. Oh, Premier League applause. Oh man, this is our segment where we peer out of our Manchester City bubble. Take a look at those losers, those dorks outside of our club. Oh, you're also lucky we even pay attention to you peons. Okay, tangent. I watched the VMAs. It was very entertaining, actually. When I say I watched the first half. It was a lot going on. Nicki Minaj hosted. She just would pop up and introduce a random person. She performed, and she played one of her songs from her new album, and it's all basically just being like, you all look up to her, but you're supposed to look up to me. You see, it was just the Nicki Minaj. It was talking shit, but Cardi was there, Meg was there, Ice Spice was there. It was the messiness of it all was fantastic. I wish Tom Bone was here so we could talk about Nicki Minaj. I hope he saw it. It was just her doing that performance and the lyrics and everything.
It's great PR.
I was like, and that was the energy that I was like, that's how I need to be as a City fan. Like Arsenal is the Cardi B's, the Megs. Y'all think she's new to y'all, so it's exciting. But no, we run this. We show up, we run things, we make the world move. So, I love our squad. Sorry, we're supposed to be talking about the Premier League. Man City, we're in first. I'm back talking about us. We got 15 points. Tottenham, they're second. Liverpool, third. Arsenal, fourth. Those 3 squads, they all have 13 points. Brighton, they're in fifth with 12. West Ham in sixth with 10 points. Aston Villa is in seventh with 9 points. Man, it's crazy. Crystal Palace is in 8th and Luton Town in 20th are separated by 4 points. Tottenham and Liverpool had to work hard for a comeback. Arsenal just squeezed through. Brighton handled the Red Devils easily. Love it. West Ham and Aston Villa are hanging on for dear life to stay awake past their bedtimes with the big kids. Who or what are you focusing on for shock all and Premier League applause? Tarek, I'll start with you.
I guess from a, I don't know if it's a shock or what have you, but I guess it's an applause, right? Tottenham have done surprisingly well to this point. They are in, technically they are in second, but they're tied with Liverpool on 13 points. Both have an eight, eight goal advantage. So they're pretty much the same. But when you think about this Tottenham team, who brought in a coach that no one knew, came from Australian league, um, didn't he was probably sixth or seventh choice that they were trying to find a manager. Um, so the expectations for him weren't high. There were a lot of people that probably doubted him. They lost maybe the world's second best number nine or somewhere in that top five number nine. Um, it's a lot has gone well. It is, yes, it is still early, but kudos to Ange Postacoglu for what he has done at Tottenham. Um, the other thing that I will say, I think tomorrow it is Burnley versus Nottingham Forest. I think it's at Nottingham Forest, I believe. Um, and I really hope that my man uh, Vincent Company and his team can get a pick up a win. Um, I think they need that. There's a lot of conversation now about does Company have to change the style since they're back in the Premier League? Does he have to switch it up? And I hope he doesn't. I hope he sticks to his guns. But of course, if you're gonna do that, you got to get wins. It's not a team that's probably expected to get a lot of victories throughout the course of this season. Um, so going up against the Nottingham Forest, who are in 12th, um, you got to find a way to get goals and get wins, pick up points. And so this is an opportunity for them. So here's hoping Burnley can get that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
for me, I was happy Terry didn't take this, but I just want to applaud Brighton for embarrassing United again. Um, they've become only the yes, they become only the third club in Premier League
Excuse me,
history to
quick
beat
one.
United 4 times in a row, joining City and Liverpool. Also,
Mm,
James Milner has now beat
mm.
Man United for 4 different clubs, like all 4 clubs he's played on. He just loves beating Man U. I think he's beat him like a total like 18 times or something crazy. But Brighton was up 3-0. And that's a consolation goal that they got from the replacement, the young player Hannibal in the 73rd minute. But Brighton like embarrassed them at Old Trafford. Like it wasn't like a thing where it was like a close match. I'm sorry, yeah, at Old Trafford. And some of the goals were scrappy. Like no, they just played beautiful football. And they had a graphic of it was like Brighton starting 11 cost a total like £16.5 million because of all the free transfers and like cheap fines that they get, and then have this. I think Gross was their most expensive signing in that starting 11 at like 2.6 million or something crazy like that. Like it's just they are
That makes
ridiculous.
no
The
sense.
Zerbi is him, and it makes you wonder like if they decided to keep who they wanted to keep, like if they kept their talent, they would be a top four side. Like in perpetuity. They choose to sell. I think financially they're making a profit and it's great business. But if they really get serious about winning, it could get really scary because they clearly do things better than everybody else. Like I think they recruit even better than City when you're going like pound for pound what you find. And the fact that they now like can attract Ansu Fati, who was like the pride of La Masia, got the 10 shirt after Messi left, had injuries, and he chose Brighton over other places to go on loan to and to like get his career back. It's bright and scary, man. And it's always great to see Man United suffer. Ten Hag is looking like he about to be 10 minutes away from getting fired. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. And speaking of people who are 10 minutes from getting fired, Chelsea, I don't see how Poch makes it to Christmas with this job. And it's crazy because you would think Bowley would have learned by now. You can't just instantly hire a manager and bring in a bunch of players and it just instantly works. With the players they have, I watched the match. Sterling looks great. He looks like old Sterling. It's good to see. A lot of the players, they're just young though. it, a lot of it is making bad decisions. A lot of people, they're coming from not either they came from big clubs and they just weren't really getting the chances, so this is their chance to play, or this is their chance to play at a big club from some mad small spot. Or let's not say mad small spot, from a smaller club. Um, and you can tell their striker, the young dude Jackson, he looks great, but every single time he would try to shoot the ball, there were a couple of those shots. It looked like it was me. It was me up there trying to get my first Premier League goal with these dudes. Me just hopping on the pitch, and I just somehow the ball landed in front of me, and I was like, "All right, let's go." It just wasn't good, and it's gonna take some time, and it's gonna take a lot of patience. And I know that's not what Bowley has done, but was he not listening to Pochettino and their interview? Tottenham's whole thing when he made Tottenham great was patience. It was, hey, we won't be good for the first 2 years. We'll have our chances, but year 3, 4, 5, it's going to be amazing. Think of the possibilities. And it seems we're, what, a month in? And they're already like, is he out of here? It's just tough. And who are you going to bring in? Who is a manager that is out and available and interested, especially because what is this, their fourth, fifth manager since Bowley's got here? Who's interested in being number 6? I don't know who you, especially someone of a stature, because they'd be like, I'm not dealing with this. I don't know. I'm happy I'm not a Chelsea fan.
Chelsea draws bring me so much joy. In addition to hating them for that UCL final in 21, I have a bet with a friend this year who's a Chelsea fan. I won't even say his name because it doesn't need to be said. But he bet me $100 that Chelsea was going to finish not top 4 but top 3. And I clarified. I said, "You saying that they get 4th, I still win $100?" He was like, "Yeah, bro, book it. Like we top 3. They're in 12th. They have no shot at getting top 4 or top 3 or top 5." And you could
At
see it, like,
all.
because that takes a run of runs, and they may go unbeaten, right, with some draws and stuff. But you need 3 points and 3 points and 3. You got to start doing your threes timetables. They can't do that. They can't score goals, which is the hardest thing to do, and they suck at it. So it's great watching them be mediocre. Even with all that black talent, it's so hard seeing a squad that starts 8 black players and be like, "Dang, I really want them to be terrible." But it's, oh my
And the
gosh,
hair's
the culture is
gray,
there.
and they play good football. They're getting in
Yeah,
front of the goal.
you would
They're
think it's got to
getting in
happen,
there.
man. That
It's
Raheem miss
just
on the free kick, it did hurt because it was such a good strike, and it just hit the bar and like didn't go over far enough, and then came back, and Jackson was offside or whatever. Like, oh, but oh well, sucks to be them. Have fun, Cole. Bye.
right. And Cole got subbed in. I didn't even realize. I what happened in my brain
67th minute
was,
or something like that.
where's Sterling? Yeah, I just went, where's Sterling? And then all of a sudden they showed Palmer, and I was like, oh, he's even on the and then the match was over.
They played Mudrick,
So
and I don't know that he was horrible, but he has not delivered on what the promise was that first match when whoever they played and he was running at defenders and it was all super scary and everybody was like, oh my God, he's going to be a killer. And it's kind of hard to kill when your gun is I don't even know what I was going to say as far as an analogy there, but I mean, if you're shooting blanks, it don't matter, man. It really don't.
and Mudrik, I think his problem is, I really do think a more he needs more direction. All the vague explanations, because he's such a talented player. I don't understand why he's not figuring it out. Because there'll be moments when he has the ball and he's dribbling, he's doing his thing. You see the flashes. It's just something is falling flat, and I don't know what's going on. I don't know, but also I really don't care. It's not my club. Not my club. All right, well, we'll keep it moving. To the champions. First group stage match in the Champions League has City welcoming Red Star Belgrade. I decided I'm not going to boo
I
until
was about to
Champions League
ask,
does
are
some
we still
bullshit
booing?
because
Okay.
inevitably they're going to do some bullshit. I'm not. I'm not. But they're going to
How?
do some
How?
bullshit. And when they do, hey, hey, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not maniacal enough to
You're just
think of the
prepared for it.
bullshit that they can do.
Okay, I
But
respect
it's going to
that.
happen. It's
Okay,
happening.
all right.
Trust me, it's happening. Um, but for now, we're good. We're namaste. Uh, Red Star Belgrade. I watched a few match highlights of their club. They started the season hot, but they cooled off. They lost 2 of their last 3 games. Naturally, the stadium and facility that Red Star will be walking into, the Etihad, is nothing like anything in their league. The noise is going to have a huge effect on them, I feel. Uh, they're a smaller squad, though average height is 5'11. Other than a couple of tall strikers, but you can't just play a bunch of strikers, and then their keeper 6'2". But most of the defenders are 6 foot, 6'1". Uh, Big floppers, huge floppers, and their keeper is explosive, very athletic. He covers a lot of space. He might make it a little tough for us. It might just be 3 or 4 instead of 6 or 7. Uh, uh, Sharpie, how are you feeling about this match? What are you thinking? What
Let me
and
just get my
what's the
teacher
score
back for a
prediction?
moment. Feel free to say yes or thumbs up. This match is at the Etihad, correct?
A
Okay.
yes,
We still are going to start a team full of World Cup players, correct? And we're playing Red
correct.
Star Belgrade. Yeah.
Slovenia,
Okay.
Savetsa.
We're gonna win 5-1. I got I got 5-1 City. Next, you got it, Terry.
Yeah, it's gonna be big. I'll say, just to say something different, I'll say 4-0. It's still a 4 point win. I think the biggest, or the not the biggest, but the bigger question for me is not do we win, because I expect that. I expect us to win big. It is how much roster change does how much of the lineup changes is Pep prepared to make? It's the first match in Champions League, so maybe he just wants to come relatively strong and get get the big lead and then bring in the subs. Um, I think this is a match that you could start a lot of our substitutes, but I don't know that he will, just because we gotta go get that first victory on the board and keep winning. Um, so I who gets to play will be interesting.
Well, and that's what I was going to ask. Of our B squad players, I guess, especially, even if we stick here, because Grealish may play and then Stones may play. Well, even if we get them back, they're ailing something. I only see them as a sub. I wouldn't see them as starting. If we were to bring someone on to rest, who would it be? Is this a Rico Lewis? Is this an Oscar Bob? Is that too much for them? Is this a McAtee? Is it Gomez? Sorry, no, McAtee's gone. Sorry. Gomez is this a Gomez?
I
What do you
mean,
think?
so my thought, it goes in line with what Pep mentioned already. He kind of set the narrative about what the Newcastle match is going to look like, and so
Mm-hmm.
I see no rotation to like on Tuesday. I see slight rotation on Saturday because we should get the big guns back, right? The other, the number 5 and the 10, probably the 8, hopefully. But like, yeah, I think we're running right out. And then when Newcastle comes, that's when you get 8, 9 changes, and you get full rotation, and you say, hey, if we're out of the Carabao Cup, oh well, like who gives a fuck? We got bigger fish to fry. Um, so yeah, I'm expecting the same 11 on Tuesday, and that's why I think we're going to dominate because now they're in the rhythm and they scored 3 goals in one half. against a very hard opponent on the road, I think we go crazy at home.
How angry do you think Newcastle fans are going to be if Pep puts a heavily rotated side?
They might have to do the same thing, because if they really care about the Premier League, they're going to be in the same position. They got Champions League this week. They got a game on the weekend. So they're in the same boat. And like Eddie Howe, if we looked at their lineup, he already rotated it.
Oh yeah, and
He doesn't, but he did it this one.
He is
I
like
think in preparation for Champions League. At first, I thought he was pissed off at his players, but I'm like, oh no, he's doing it because they got Champions League this week, and they got a big opponent, and so yeah, like they're in a tough stretch, and so we're like, again, even if we start Alvarez over Holland, you still got to deal with Alvarez, right? Like there's not a huge drop off in any position, because Oscar Bob can give you problems if he comes in for Foden. Like everybody's a problem in their own right. Like, okay, Mateus Nunes, go start. Oh yeah, you were just the best player on Wolves. But so it's not like Newcastle scares you. So whoever is out there can get it. Calvin Phillips, you just play for England. Go play for us against Newcastle. Who gives a fuck? Yeah.
Newcastle's run is crazy.
It's a murderer's run. It's so tough.
What? Because even the quote unquote lower table teams they have to play is Sheffield, who they're gonna run at you. Burnley, they're gonna make you work for it, and then they have us, and then PSG, West Ham, Crystal Palace, Dortmund, Wolves, Arsenal, Dortmund, Bournemouth, Chelsea, PSG, United, Manchester United. Goodness great, good luck for them.
You can already see that they're putting their eggs in the Champions League basket, because they know now, like, you can't start off at 11th after 5 matches and be like, oh, we're going to make top 4. So you might as well just say, hey, we're going after the cups. And so their midweek matches will be their Super Bowls, which makes sense. Like, you can't, like, only City and clubs like us with the real depth of talent can do every competition. And like a Liverpool, right? It doesn't happen between most people. And so, yeah, Eddie Howe's got to be smart. And he'll still get wins against low-level clubs. But, yeah, when you got to see Dortmund, PSG, and Milan, he's getting an angry Milan because they just got embarrassed by Inter. Check us out on Best of the Rest. We'll talk about it. But, like, Patreon, come on now. But, yeah, it's God bless Newcastle, man. But, anywho, Crump, what's your score prediction?
Oh. 6. We out here. I don't think we're letting them get one in. It's 6-0. It's sad days. Actually, I'm not going to get too crazy with what I was about to say. We're just going to beat them down. I watched our highlights, and I just think everything at the Etihad just going to shake them to their core. It's just going to be too much for them. And it wouldn't surprise me if we score 4 in the final 30 minutes type of vibes, even with subs. Especially with subs, because I think subs are going to come on and they're going to want to push. They're going to try it. They're going to be like, do we rest? And Pep's going to be screaming at them, no! Murder! Murder! Because that's how Pep is. I love him. We'll keep it moving. Nottingham Forest. I don't know. They're a good squad. They should be figuring out. They have a decent manager, very average-looking man.
Nottingham Forest is going to be higher than Man United after tomorrow's match. After Monday's match, they're going to get at least a point against Burnley. Right now, they're tied with United at 6 points. So a draw gets them to 7th, which will have them tied with Palace and Fulham. They're a really good side. Taiwo can bring some problems. Yeah. They did sell Brendan Johnson to Spurs, but they find a way to be competitive. Matt Turner's been looking good in goal. I'm just going to say it. I think it's at the Etihad, so we're going to win. I'm going to go, we get our clean sheet back, and I think we win 3-0. That's what I got.
If you look at this season for them, every game is a 1-goal game. They lose to Arsenal 2-1. They beat Sheffield United 2-1. They lose to Man U 3-2. They beat or they lose to Burnley in the League Cup 1-0. They beat Chelsea 1-0. Everything is by a 1-goal margin. So I am going to say, I'm not going to make it where we get a big win. I'm going to say that we win. I'm going to say 2-0.
I was gonna say that too now. I can see that, especially with all these matches. I could see them just be like, let's chill. We get the lead. It wouldn't surprise me if it's just two in the first 30 minutes, and there's just dribble drills for the next 60 minutes. And it's a vibe. We'll have chances and whatever. But yeah, I could see 2-0. If we get three, I'd be shocked. I'd be happy because I like three. That's a lot better than 2 goals. But I'm not seeing too much from them. Yeah.
Hey, I know we're pretty much done with the rundown. There is a conversation that's happening around KDB's contract renewal. And I'd be interested to know really quickly what your all thoughts are. And maybe that I'm opening a Pandora's box that can't be answered relatively quickly. So maybe it's something we have to talk about in a Patreon. I don't
Oh,
know.
I got time.
But
I got time.
okay. Let me hear it.
What do you mean?
You haven't heard it?
There's people are saying like the too old.
Well, no, I mean,
No, actually, no, I haven't.
Okay.
I haven't been on Twitter
what
at
I
all
have
today.
read is that
So
City have basically said, no, we're not going to talk about this renewal at the moment. We're going to wait because we want to see how you come back from this injury before we commit, another 2 years or whatever it is. And it could be a Gundo situation where KDB says, hey, I want to know exactly where my future is going to lie. Are we playing a dangerous game by not saying, you know what, we're committing 2 more years to you and we're okay with that? The fact that if we sign him for 2 more years, is he okay not getting a increase in his salary, but maybe staying the same? And yeah, so start there. What were you going to say, Sharpie?
I was gonna say I'm off. I was making sure. I was gonna say I believe that. Just wanted to double check this on transfer market. Yeah, he still has 2 years left on his deal, right? A year after the season, it ends June 30th, 25. I believe the talks were to extend to 27, right? Add 2 more years onto it. I would love.
That's what I think.
Yeah, I would love a middle ground. And I get the stagger, right? Like if you say, like, hey, if Walker's up on 26, you keep a club legend for 27 and KDB, and so on and so forth. But I don't blame City for not doing it. I think if to extend him now while he's injured, that's a Man United move, right? That's a Chelsea move. That's the move of a club that is just like, oh my God, we got to hold on to him. We think he's going to leave. KDB's already told us because the stuff about the Saudi offer came out that he said he wants to retire with Man City. And so we're not running down a clock. It'd be different if this was September 24 and we knew, in June his contract's up. What are we going to do? I think we're getting ahead of it, which is smart. And obviously he's incentivized to do well because he cares and he wants to keep winning. He loves winning trophies. And this is just one more thing to put in his locker of like, hey, I'm earning this money. He said, I got my family here, me, my boys, and my wife. We're going to stay in Manchester. This is all they know. And if I got to earn it, that's what everybody at City does, right? Nobody's given anything. Kyle Walker just got bumped up to the 8th highest paid player in the club. And he's been there 7 years. You earn your money. You earn your keep. You earn your playing time. And I think if we were to treat Kevin different, it would be the antithesis of everything that we do, that the people in charge at City have built, where nobody is bigger than the club. And so, yeah, I'm happy with the patient.
So do you think there is a world where we say we've decided not to sign you even for an extra year?
No, I don't think so.
Or if not 2?
No, I think we got to. He is. I think you all can disagree. I think he's the greatest Man City player ever. And so when you talk about your GOAT, or at least top three, right, in some order, however you want to put it, he's not Gundo. Gundo's different. Like, Gundo wanted to leave enough that, like, he saw the offer didn't come fast enough. I bet I'm going to Barca, even for lower money, right? But we know Kevin cares. We know he is like the stalwart of the club, the talisman. He will be, captain, or at least in the list when he comes back, of course. Yeah, I think it's just a matter of time. It might be February, it might be March. They might wait till summer, but he's gonna get the years he wants and retire, when he's ready.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So last thing that I'll say on this, KDB, especially as he continues to age, I don't know if you see him potentially dropping back or just playing in that 10 spot with maybe fewer defensive responsibilities. But then you think about who's coming behind him. You got, as we're seeing right now, you have an Alvarez who is becoming that 10. We have a Foden who many of us think can play as a 10, and that might even be his best position as that 10. You've already said you don't think there's a situation where we don't re-sign him for something. I guess I'm just questioning if we have those two players waiting in the wings. Do we say, you know what? We have to move you on in order for these guys to really truly blossom. It's the Gundo argument that I had before, what I was having last season, I think it was. But I feel completely different, and that's because maybe it's still so far away. Talk to me in 2 years, maybe I'll feel differently or whatever. But right now, I personally would struggle if we said nope, we're just not doing it, just off principle.
He stays as long as he wants. He writes his contract. But I will say about those players, this is more akin for me to the Fernandinho Rodri transition, where there was a point where you knew like Rodri had to take over, but Fernandinho was still very valuable to the club. He still had to come in. He still needed to play, center back or right back, God bless him, or just minutes in midfield. But like he still had a part to play. I think that's where Kevin goes, but because it's in the midfield, like you said, you can always go back and save your legs. Look at La Liga. They literally have a whole league of players who are like 30 something years old playing deep. Like Busquets was still great. He just can't run, but he still could control the game, right? So you put Kevin in a double pivot, he would excel. But if you want to play him as a 10, as a second striker, like we did against Arsenal, he can do that too. Just stay at halfway line. I think he is there, and then it just adds depth, right? He becomes a true depth piece. So if you say he's on the bench instead of Calvin Phillips, wow, look at that, right? Like Calvin Phillips moves on, and now in that role of like breaking case of emergency, you got 36-year-old Kevin De Bruyne. I'm here for it.
Wow. No, I love it. I'm just not prepared for this
Conk's like, it's
conversation.
too much. It's just too much.
It really is. And I thought I had moved on past this. I thought I was past, I don't know, feeling for players like this. I mean, Kevin De Bruyne is the last name I have put on a kit since I haven't done it in a very long time, and the last is Kevin. Yeah, big fan of his. I don't know. Uh, but like I said, and like Shep said, I do believe play until he wants
It
to.
is a
How that is playing, we'll figure that out in the moment.
Yeah, it's a scary proposition for me. Not scary, but it's almost sad because again, I've seen so many of these legends leave off the scene at this point. And you know that he's getting to the place where he's going to be the next one to join that parade of amazingly talented world class players that have left the club to move on, probably to retire, maybe to another opportunity. But the remaining piece of his career is getting shorter and shorter every day, and we're going to see him go off the scene, just like we've seen the Agueros or the companies or the David Silvas of the world. And I genuinely think that he is the next player to get a statue. Because I don't. Gundo was good and he was great in moments, but I don't think he gets a statue. He probably gets some other recognition somewhere else, whatever.
We have like a plaque or
Yeah,
something.
but I think KDB gets a statue.
I feel like 10 years at the club should be like the statue requirement. And so far, the statues are Aguero and Silva, right? And company who all did a decade or like 9 years, 9 to 10 years plus. So, yeah, Kevin's.
I think this was year 9 for KDB.
Mhm.
It's going to be disrupted by injury, but this is year 9.
Yeah, he definitely deserves for sure.
Well, that's our episode. That was good. It was a good episode, guys. Good job, y'all. Uh, Follow our social media accounts on the app formerly known as Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, YouTube, etc. Links to all those teams are in the episode details. There's a link tree. Just gotta tap it, and all of it. It's all just right there for you. Real easy. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to leave a comment, hit a thumbs up, like the video. If you prefer audio only, rate and review the episode. 5 stars are what's the point. If you leave a review, I will read it on the next episode of Shades of Blue, my fantastic co-host. Let the listeners know where to find you. Tarek, let's start with you, homie.
You can find me on Threads, TK Peterson 12. I am still on Twitter occasionally just because not everyone has moved over to Threads. So there's some.
Hopped on Twitter to yell at Applebee's.
Yeah, it's one of those things that it irritates me. If you're gonna make me use the website, if you're encouraging me to use the website, then make it functional. But that's neither here nor there. So every now and then I'll jump on there or just I'll follow a conversation just to see what's going on. But I try to not support that dude in his app. So Threads, TK Peterson 12.
Now I'm off mute. Find me on X, aka Twitter.com still, at Sharpie Charlie.
And I am Crunk Chocolate on X and Instagram. Let's try to think of. Oh yeah, just on. I'm Crunk Phoenix on X.
Your
Yeah,
Shades
I
of
don't
Blue
use that
Pod. That's who
account.
you are, okay?
I hop onto the Crunk. I try to keep my wrestling and other random too obscure. Like general things like other sports and stuff like that. I'll put it on Shades of Blue every now and then. I'll forget. And I'm like, oops, oh well, you'll get an anime take on Shades of Blue. But yeah, Shades of Blue podcast. We're on all of them. We out here. Again, hit that link tree note. It's all right there for you. You know the vibes. Shady gang, shady gang, shady gang.